welcome to my second build with me video. Today we're back in Ladyhill and we're just using these two fields at the bottom of the map, just next to the main road before the boundary. And when you purchase these two fields you get this small holding, so we've already got some buildings here. So we're just going to have a look around and see what we're working with. We've got a large barn, we've got a big open shed, we've got some grassland space, another open barn, some small grazing space at the back, and this looks a brilliant space for a hay barn. So last time we were on an empty field and we had a blank canvas to work with. This time we're going to try and see what we can do with the buildings that are already here and see if we can turn what we've got into an equestrian property. So I've had a look and we've seen what we can delete on the map. We can get rid of that to give us a little bit more room. We're not going to use that with our horses. And let's begin building. So the obvious thing to start with was the hay barn under this nice shelter. So ideally I would like wooden pallets underneath my bales, but I wasn't going to move hundreds of pallets there. Now if there's a decoration of a wooden pallet that I'm missing, please let me know, because it would be an absolute game changer. I've also added these big concrete blocks and given these a bit of a wall for a bit more shelter. Those blocks are quite useful for that if you've got a shed that you want to add a wall to. And we've added the wrapped hay bales. So I mentioned in my previous video that those two mods, the stack straw and the stacked hay bales, are definitely going to be used a lot on my builds. So I've decided this little building here is going to be my feed room. It's quite a big size really for a feed room. So we've got a nice container for rugs on the left there. Now this is a container mod, which means it's somewhere you can purchase pretty much anything from that one. But we'll be using hay and straw from there. Maybe some oats for the horses as well. And I'm just unloading from my trailer. These are diesel cans, I think they're called. They're from the mod section of the construction menu. And I just think they make excellent looking feed bins. And you can also get these from the decoration menu. I'm also using this big storage unit that looks a little bit like a big recycling bin, but I think it also looks like something you'd see sitting around in a feed room. And you can see I've added another container mod. I probably won't use it, but it looks quite nice there. Brought a few buckets down, and we've got a couple of sheds in. I think they look good for storing tack in. You can imagine them being locked up and secure. And this is a rope that's actually used for herding animals in the game, but it just looks nice sitting around like a lead rope. So I've also brought down from the shop, and these are on the mod section of the menu, the brush and the shovel. I've not used the brush, I have to admit, so I'm not sure how that works. The shovel does work and we'll be using that later. Added in a wheelbarrow, of course, and a nice trolley for carrying those big bags of food around. So in my last video, if you've watched that, we used a small muck heap. We used the pig manure one, which is quite small. This time we're using this big one that I mentioned, and it's actually in the selling point section, because you can actually buy manure from there. And I just think it looks great, very realistic without powered up straw and manure. So we've got our muck heap in. Our feed room is looking busy, maybe a bit too busy, but I just wanted to show you just how much you can fit in there that looks like exactly what you'd see in a day-to-day feed room. And there's our hay barn. I'll put a couple of loose bales there ready for use. So we've got a hay barn, we've got our feed room sorted, we've got our muck heap. So let's get started with the horses. So this field to the left of the farm is what we've purchased to put our horses out in. Now it has got a gate there on the main road that I didn't want. I wanted to keep my horses a little bit more secure. So I couldn't delete that gate, so I've just added a hedge fence mod and added in some bushes just to blend that in, and now it's hidden. So we're using the fenceless horse pasture. Now these are fenceless in the sense that there isn't a fence, and you can use this as pretty much big as you like, really, whatever shape you like. But when you place these markers, you'll get a kind of bit of long grass, almost like a little shrub, and they'll be in a straight line and they stand out in the field. So I like to keep them hidden under something like a hedge if I can, so that's why I've gone under that hedge with those. And that just gives you the perimeter of where your horses will go when you put them in the field. So I've just added a few little trees in, and I don't know if you noticed, but I also added a wall at the top of the field because that originally was 2 fields. You could go straight into one, so I've just made a boundary. So we need to fill that trough now with some food for the horses. So to keep your horses at 100% health, you need a mixture of hay and oats. About 60% oats and a 40% hay gives them perfect health, I believe. That certainly was the case in FS22, so I assume it is in FS25, but I'm not sure. Comment below. Now I do like the look of hay better than oats, so I try and keep the troughs topped up with hay. This style isn't really something you see very often in the UK fields, so I'm not really keen on it. I'd rather just be able to chuck a pile of hay in as and when. But the water trough's okay. What I tend to do is just disguise them a little bit with trees and bushes, just so they stand out a little bit less. Like so. And you can still get to your points to put your hay in, and the horse, as you can see, can still munch away. So it just makes it a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. So there's that wall I was talking about just at the top left there, just to close that boundary off, and I've just added some trees around just to blend it in. And there you are, you can look across the field at the horses. Very good. So I've decided this path to the horse field isn't quite wide enough. I'm going to make it a little bit longer, wider, like so. Just using the paint tool and selecting concrete, and that's just a little bit of a better width there to get some horses down. Now what I've realised, this top area of this field is actually restricted, so it's where the boundary kind of blends from map to out of edges, so we can't actually build on there. So we're going to have to think really about what we do with that space. And we've got this lovely area out here which is similar in that it's restricted, but look at this view I've found. Oh, lovely. So another day, some more building. Let's get started with the stable. So I'll do another video and talk about why I make my own stables, and we'll review stable mods available as part of the process. But basically what I'm trying to create is just a simple UK stable with a door and walls with straw in it that you can put your horses in. Now it sounds straightforward, but there isn't a mod that's really nailed it yet that makes it feel quite realistic. So I've got in the habit of building my own, and it's quite fun to do as well. So you can take a shed, you can take a large one and do a single stable, you can take a longer one and divide it up like I have here. You have to be careful with which shed you use. You're best to use one without a base, because if you have one with a base, not always the horses won't go in there, and sometimes the straw won't go in there either, which we're going to put in now. So I've been and got my straw bale, is it a chopper? I can't remember what they're called. Sorry, we're not a very technical channel here. But anyway, we put our liftable bale of straw in there. We press a couple of buttons and it chops our straw up, basically, in a nutshell. I think it is bale blower, I think they're called, maybe. And then yeah, so we pile up our straw on the floor, we get our shovel and we put it in as we would do, and it just gives such a nice, more welcoming and realistic feel than the kind of paint effect you get really with mod stables. It is a little time consuming. It took me a while to get the hang of it. The shovel's a little awkward. It doesn't always go in the direction you want it to. It doesn't always put the straw where you think it's going to put it. So some of it's a bit of a fluke. But yeah, it's worth it. You're best to use not too much straw. So I think I've used probably half the bale tops. If you use too much, it does go everywhere. So for the stable dividers there, I've just used, I think it's called the simple stone wall. That's a good one for putting as a divider. Some of them you'll find you can't put them in. It'll say they clash with another object. This one will let you. And again, the same with the gates. Some will let you put them in a shed, some won't. So it's a bit of trial and error and a bit of playing around with which ones work and which ones you like the look of. These gates are the closest I'll find to something that I think looks good enough to be a stable door. And you can see there I've just kind of made a bank around the edge, a bit higher, to stop the horses getting stuck when they roll over. And there we have it. So we can also put some food in there. We've got a bucket mod from the shop. We've bought that in our car, and along with those bags of horse feed. Now, those horse feed bags are a really good mod. I absolutely love the design. The packaging looks very lifelike. They're just a bit small. They are more treat size than horse feed size, but they're good. They look good, and they're just the right size for a bucket of food. So we've also made ourselves a little garage there, and I thought, do you know what, let's treat ourselves to a nice Massey Ferguson tractor. And here it is, and what a lovely sunny day to drive it back. I think I said it in my last video, but I do think this map is my favourite. The views and the textures and the lighting, I don't know, there's just something about it. The fields are good to build on. Yeah, it's up there for me. Underrated, I'd say. So we're now going to move on to this barn area. So I thought, could it be a nice indoor riding arena with a little jump in the paddock outside? Put some animal mud, as you might have seen me do in my last video, to make it look like sand. Got a horse in there, and it was just too small really. So we've gone for a nice open plan barn instead, and I've used the forest floor mod there, the painting mod, and yeah, it looks good. It gives the illusion of a bit of straw and a bit of dirt and a bit of grass and what you'd find in a barn like that really. It was a bit tricky to do because of the being so close to the boundary. I had to do some tricky angles there, but we got there. And now, last but not least, we're going to just tidy up the little farmhouse. We're going to make it a bit more homely. We're going to add some trees, and we're going to add some bushes. You can see I've already added in a nice grass lawn, a little stone path up to the door with a little doormat. That's the sleep trigger there. And we've added that little stone wall at the front. We're also going to add some of those wild flowers in to give it a nice cottage feel. It just looks completely different. I think that's my second favourite thing to do in this game after the horses. It's gardens, vegetable plots, greenhouses. Very satisfying. Garden simulator. And there we have it. Home sweet home. And let's finish off with a little mailbox as well. So I'm going to leave you now to have a look round. Enjoy.